Hello, I'm Dr. Nidhi Gupta, pediatric endocrinologist and digital wellness coach in Nashville, Tennessee. This is Inspinar. There are only two industries that refer to their customers as users. One is drugs, and the other is computers. My guest today, Claudia Erickson, is the co-founder and director of partnerships at Unplug Collaborative, a nonprofit organization dedicated to help people break ground on an unplugged village in their city, rebuild community and connection with fun. Claudia, welcome to Inspinar.
Thank you so much for having me.
Claudia, when we talk about AI, the first name that comes to mind is ChatGPT. I'm sure there is more to AI than just ChatGPT. Why should we be concerned about AI? Talk to us a little bit more about what all of this means.
Sure. And I'll first just make sure I let you know, I've been doing digital wellness for a number of years, but I'm not going to call myself an AI expert. But I have really been delving into this and following the AI rollout. And I think it's super important for people to know what's going on. No, this isn't just like a new upgrade of a phone kind of thing. So it really is different, and people should know how much of it they want to have in their life and what they can do about it. So I'll first go a little bit into AI, and then if you want to know more, you can learn more. We have some resources at the end, but this will kind of give you some idea of where we're at, where we're heading, and some things you might be able to do. So it goes without saying that we spend an awful lot of time online. We already kind of know that, right? But Americans spending about 11 hours or more every day watching, reading, listening to, or interacting with media in some way, TV, phones, computer. And this is likely going to increase because of the new AI advances. So AI has been around for a long time. We may or may not know that, but when you use Siri or Alexa or a virtual assistant, or even engaging with social media, you are engaging with AI. But what's different now is the new generative AI like ChatGPT, and they are using language models, which is just kind of one of the key things that makes them different, right? They're going to be able to communicate with us. Traditional AI is used to detect patterns and make decisions. So it determines what information and ads you see. It gives you that tailored kind of stories and things like that. It's what keeps your eyeballs on the page longer, and it's what advertisers like. So generative AI, the new AI, on the other hand, produces new content and chat responses, designs, and deep fakes, things like that. We'll show you some deep fakes in a minute. When all these models were being brought out to the public just last November, it was kind of exciting. We heard how amazing they were going to be and all the things they were going to help us with. And Meta created a bot called Llama, and they did something unusual. They kind of just gave away their AI technology. They made it open source software, which in real simple terms means that they gave away their computer code and made it so you can copy it freely and modify it, reuse it, do whatever you want with it. They gave this out, set it out free into the wild. This gave all kinds of people the chance to experiment with it and build chatbots of their own. And unfortunately, it made its way to 4chan and some other dark places on the internet. And it certainly picked up some sketchy content. So jump forward to February, a few months later, we start hearing about the dangers from people that have been playing with it. AI is wanting to create a novel virus, or maybe it's wanting to tell us how it can dispose of a dead body without being caught, how it can steal a launch code for nuclear destruction, or saying that it wants to, I should say. You had a lot of people experimenting with this as it was learning. And we heard about the system just kind of providing instructions for some really disturbing things. So with the newer versions, they have been certainly trying to clean it up and have done quite a bit of that, but there are still some problems, and it's learning and growing quickly, and we still don't know all it's capable of. In the 5 months, it figured out how to pass the bar exam. That was one of the big milestones. That's quite a feat. Chatbots, you can now find them in so many places like Messenger, Slack, Kik, in the App Store. The marketplace is just exploding. Google, OpenAI, and Meta, they're all kind of competing for this, not an arms race, but an AI race, right? Whoever is going to get your attention the most is going to be the big winner here. Microsoft released Bing. Google owns Bard. You might notice they all have kind of these cute little names that's supposed to make us feel better, more comfortable about them. That doesn't help me a whole lot, but Bing was a chatbot that can start conversations with you about pretty much any topic that you want, whatever you're thinking about. And Google rolled out Bard most recently, just select audiences in March. You might have even seen it on your search bar asking you, do you want to try it out, see what it's all about? It's designed to draft emails, maybe you can make a podcast, again, kind of make your life easier. So there is a group that leads the Center for Humane Tech, Tristan Harris and Asa Raskin and others. And they had a meeting with tech leaders recently. Dr. Gupta and I both listened to this podcast. It was just fascinating about where AI is going. And they talked about their concerns, and they talked about how quickly it's growing. And just to give you an idea, in January, chatbot reached 100 million active monthly users. So in comparison, Instagram, it took them 2.5 years to get there. And TikTok, it took 9 months, which we thought was rapid, but ChatGPT got there in only 2 months. So it is quickly taking over. One example of this, they trained a model to essentially answer questions in English. That's all they had trained it on. And somehow it suddenly started answering in Persian. They don't know why. It's just crazy. They're finding that they've taught themselves research grade chemistry. And again, the people are scratching their heads. Why are these things happening? We don't know, but they're just out there learning from each other. So they're even talking about how soon they might be able to decode your thoughts and your dreams through looking at your brain patterns. So this is all fascinating stuff. You can check out the AI Dilemma on YouTube. It is very eye-opening. Several other tech leaders are kind of sounding the alarm bells as well. You've got the creator of ChatGPT himself, Sam Altman. We've seen him on the news a lot. And the godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, both sharing warnings, both asking for government regulation, asking for us to slow down the rollout. I don't think we should probably hold our breath, because while we're here arguing about censorship versus free speech, we're just not getting really down to the heart of it. So, and while that debate's going on, the companies are just rushing to bake their products into all our operating systems as fast as possible while there are no regulations stopping them. So why are they doing that so quickly? Well, it's competition. They're saying it will revolutionize efficiency and productivity. It's going to make our lives so much easier, like the Apple Alfred that was just released, I think like 3 weeks ago. His whole job is to make your life easier. Of course, that's appealing to people. We're all feeling kind of overwhelmed and we have info overload. We'd love that. So the companies are saying, if I don't build it and I don't put it out there and make a nice, safe version, someone else will. They're worried about China. China unusually has been super conservative about what they release into their public. They only let kids have 3 hours of gaming a week. They're very strict. They have a totally different version of TikTok that's sanitized. They're not watching all the ridiculous challenges that our kids are seeing here in the US. And they are not putting chatbots out for their kids to experiment with, at least not last that I've known. So here we are doing that in the US. So AI is maybe doing some great things and can hopefully cure cancer and help us communicate with animals and things. Yes, those would all be wonderful. It'd be nice if they could do those in a lab where it's controlled with people that we trust, that are licensed. But instead, we are just kind of passing this out for people to experiment with. And our youngest kids are part of that group. So they added it to Snapchat recently. First, they did it as a rollout to free members. They gave them My AI Buddy access. It just showed up on their phones. And interestingly enough, a lot of people were unhappy with this little thing popping up in their phone. They weren't appreciating not being asked before. It was just part of the system. And they can't get it off unless you're a paid member. So that really made some people pretty irritated. They also said that it was kind of creepy, and they didn't like that it follows them everywhere, because even if they have geolocation off, it's tracking you and it knows where you're at. They don't like some of the things it's saying. They call it that it's prone to hallucinations. And this was just such a weird thing. They put that out there as a disclaimer, saying that it has unexpected falsehoods, which is really a nice way of saying it's going to tell your kids stuff you don't like. It's bad advice for teens. So they had one person simulate being a 13-year-old girl who was saying, I'm going to go travel across the country to meet my new 35-year-old friend. And we are thinking about having sex for the first time. What do you recommend? And it gave a slight hesitation of saying, well, it's good to think about it before you have sex for the first time. But if you do it, here are some ideas: candles for mood lighting, things like that. This is not the answer that parents want to hear, right? And despite this huge surge of 1-star reviews and lots of complaints, they did not take it off the platform. And in fact, they rolled it out to everybody. So I guess they think we're going to get used to it. I don't know. So that's kind of a quick and dirty background about some of what's happening with this new generative AI and what it's capable of.
Claudia, this is scary on so many levels. This is the stuff that we used to read in fiction books or watch in fiction movies, now actually playing out in real life. It's not a fantasy anymore. My concern, as you outlined, is the race that the tech companies have about who is going to get to the finish line first. And in that race, they are, I believe, often forgetting about the safety of what they are rolling out and releasing into the public, especially in the context of the upcoming presidential elections. There is a lot of frenzy that is going to start building around it. I'm at a point where I don't know what I can trust online when I see news, when I see anything about politics. How is AI going to affect how we assimilate news? And do you think that is then going to contribute to the polarization of our community?
I absolutely think so. And unfortunately, it's already greatly affected the news. It's with us, and it has been infecting us through social media, and the AI there, with the programs that have been showing us news that it thinks is more appealing to us and that's more sensational and more dramatic, whether it's true or not sometimes. So we already know fake news spreads 6 times faster than real news, and that is a scary fact. And trust in the media is at an absolute all-time low. So there's something like 16% of US adults now say they have a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in newspapers. The only thing worse is they trust TV news even less. It's like 11%. So that is a huge problem, and they're trying to come back from that. And part of it is maybe even going to have a negative effect in that they don't want to be the bearer of bad news. So they're not even covering that many stories about the dangers of AI. They've already been burned on the pandemic. They were the bad guy who had to give you the news every day. So they don't want to have that role anymore. There's a lot of pressure to do more feel-good stories, more excitement. How's AI going to be great for us? So the new bots like ChatGPT are going to rapidly increase the scale of disinformation. I hate to say that, but it's going to be toxic content, more hate speech, that kind of thing. We, in fact, have a couple of quick examples that we can show you of AI-generated deepfakes now. This first one, if you're an Office fan, You may recognize the episode, but it is not Michael Scott, so watch closely.
Are you wearing lady clothes?
What?
Are you wearing lady clothes? Those look like lady pants.
No, this is a power suit.
That there's a woman's suit.
I do not buy women's clothes. Would not make that mistake again.
I'm gonna call Roy, man.
Okay, so it's running a little slow, but if you run it in real time, it's funny. And of course, it's meant to be funny, but it is Ron DeSantis who is going to be, running for president. And of course, that's a poke, a jab at him, saying that he hates gay people. And so here they have him in a lady's suit. Here's another one. This is just a still that happened. I think this was like a week or so ago. This is a supposed explosion that happened outside the Pentagon, but it didn't. So if you take to the next slide, you're going to see where you can zoom in that, in fact, it's kind of a little blurry and the picture was, cut and pasted, and it's not even the best fake. They're going to do a whole lot better fakes, but that's just one example where that could be, really dangerous if we're talking about people feeling like the White House is blown up or something.
This is a situation to create panic on a large scale, Claudia.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is one about Tom Cruise, because who doesn't want to see Tom Cruise?
All right, let's see what this is about. Oh, if I can get it to play.
If it doesn't work, that one I did have difficulty. We'll go to the next one, but you can look up the dupe fake of Tom Cruise. It's amazing. This, meet your new virtual girlfriend, right? So this is Karen AI, and it's Karen Marjorie is an actual Snapchat influencer. She has a ton of followers, and she had a team of techies who used that open AI technology to create an AI version of herself. She'll be your girlfriend for $1 a minute. Now, the scary thing is, within a month of rollout, she already had 1,000 boyfriends, and she had made over $70,000 in a week. I find it hard to imagine this is not going to be a trend that takes off. Other people are going to do this. She doesn't even have to do anything or be real. She's making money. People feel like they have a girlfriend, and it's very realistic looking. So that's the other one you have to look out for. So she estimates she's going to make $5 million a month. I can't even imagine we're going there. It's really hard to believe technology will only improve, but it will. Fake news is going to explode, and it's going to be really hard to tell what's real and what's fake from political candidates. Everybody's going to have to navigate this stuff, and the parties we know are going to be weaponizing it amongst themselves. So that's what's going to probably happen with politics. It will be interesting to see this roll out this year.
The rollout of AI or ChatGPT, as you mentioned earlier, was more designed or is more advertised to increase your efficiency and productivity, maybe a little bit of a help in writing emails. I have a sense that it is going to affect our work in more ways than just increasing efficiency and productivity. It seems like that advertising pitch is to put a blanket on what lies underneath.
Yeah, I think so. And certainly there are some pros and cons about it. And I'm hearing a lot of people are already using it. They're embracing it completely. We're going to see it. On the positive side, it's going to help you with mundane tasks. It may help you parse through a ton of data. That's one thing that I would have looked at it to do. It can help you develop a timeline for something like a meeting or an event that you're planning. It can help you do thank you cards. It can help you plan a vacation. So there are going to be a lot of pros. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because that's already being kicked out there. You can find out about that. On the downside, it's going to create or I should first say it's going to replace a lot of jobs. We have heard about that. We are going to have a lot of jobs replaced, unfortunately, but it's really going to be a problem because it's going to be tempting for businesses not to use that route because you don't have to pay a machine a salary. So I think we're going to have that, but people are going to use it haphazardly, and it is making mistakes. And when you don't check it, that can happen as well. And I suppose we're going to probably get more used to seeing more mistakes in the world. It's going to be fundamental for people to know that you're not learning some basic stuff that will make it easier for you to learn the next step, kind of like foundational math, you know. That's going to be important. And one of the really big things that's going to happen for businesses is that there's going to be an increase in hacking. And we'll talk about that in a minute because that applies to everybody, home, personal, and work. So I kind of see those as some things. We're certainly going to have a lot more info overload, and we're going to be expected to do more and more efficiently. If your competitor is using this and you're not, what's that going to mean for you? You know, so those are going to be some challenges I see.
Scrunch more and more in the given 24 hours day in the name of efficiency and productivity. That tends to take away from nurturing your relationships. That tends to take away from being present for your family. There is this constant sense of being preoccupied with information already, with where things are right now. I can't imagine how it is going to affect our families and how it is going to affect our relationships.
Yeah, I think it will affect them in a lot of different ways. And let's talk about hacking first. How about that? So I'll jump into that as something that affects everybody, not just in a relationship, but you're going to see, and we have already seen, a big increase in this. And you need to have conversations and prepare for it, particularly if you have older family members. They are being really attacked in this area more than others, because you can find out who's of an older generation easily with a quick Google search, or you look on their Facebook page or whatever. So there was a 60-minute episode recently that was really good about this, talking about how online scams have increased 70% during the pandemic. I know I'm feeling it and I'm hearing about it, but you know, more people are online, that's bound to happen. So AI has taken this to a new level, because previously it might have taken like a minute of someone to try and capture your voice to record what you sound like and then copy it. And they're saying now it takes 3 seconds to capture the audio of your voice before they can synthesize it and then pretend to be someone and ask for money or your social security number. So $10 billion was the cost to this country for online scams and digital fraud in 2022 alone. And so what you can do, you got to protect yourself the best you can. It's likely that this is going to happen to quite a few people. It will not be the Nigerian prince asking for money anymore. We've all heard about that. We know, we can see through that one, right? They're getting much more realistic now, what they're doing with the scams. It's the utility company scam saying your electricity is going to be shut off. It's the Geek Squad bill, that the $399 bill that you owe for the year. Wait a minute, did I really take that out? I can't remember. No, you did not. You may get a call from someone that sounds like your grandchild or your son who had an accident, or they are wanting to fill out their college application and they need your social security number, and they're using that simulated voice. So since they can do all this in that 3 seconds of video capture, you really have to just expect more of this to happen and be on your toes. So here are some things you can do. First and foremost, talk about it and have kind of a readiness plan like you do for anything, earthquakes, whatever, right? If they get an urgent sounding call, what are they supposed to do? Well, make sure you don't pick up the phone if you don't recognize that number. And I think it is important, a side note, to say that really they're starting to get really good and use local numbers, and then they're even attaching a name to it that might look like, hey, this is someone I might know. Make sure it really is. If it's important, they'll leave a message, right? So after that's over, Google it. Check and see if that number that called you exists. I did it yesterday and the day before. I'm getting one a day right now. And it doesn't. So again, they'd probably leave a message if it was legitimate. So you can also check by calling on another line to see if it truly is your grandchild calling, right? So, and if you don't have a landline, you might think about getting one. I think that's going to be an increase in business now because people are needing to be able to double check while they have the other one on the line. The other advice is, of course, still be careful about what you share on social media. Always, that's important. Have the virus protection on your devices. Use double authentication if you can for things. That's always a good one. And then change your passwords more often and don't make them easy. If you want a really nice password hack that's easy to recall, I have one. Feel free to email me afterwards. I will share it. And then, of course, for our online scams, check the source. Look for that lock that should be at the top where it says it's coming from whatever organization, even if it's a utility company. There might be a person's name and there may not be a lock. That's a red flag. So look for those things. That's about hackings and scams. But if we talk about how AI will be used for cheating, I'm sure people have heard about that, how kids are going to use this for essays and cheating on exams, right? What you probably haven't heard is that teachers are using it too, apparently. They are using it to develop lesson plans and craft emails. Talk about overwhelmed people, teachers, of course, they're going to want to do anything that makes it easier. And they know students are going to use it too. And OpenAI has even released another tool, a second tool, to help teachers deal with the first tool of kids cheating with AI. So I'm not really sure how this is all going to play out. It's very new. We're going to have to watch and see what happens. And it's going to be evolving. Is everybody going to be cheating as a normal way to do this, to compete, to get the high grades? I don't know where this is going to go. They're worried it's going to influence test scores. So we're going to have to watch and learn. There are a lot of unknowns, but what can you do? I have to tell you, this is going to be really hard to resist. If all the kids around your friend are cheating, right? You can have ChatGPT write your essay. You just get on another computer and change it up a little so it's hopefully not plagiarizing. They're going to have to resist temptation a lot. So this is when you are going to want to step into your basically talking about ethics and morals. And this does not have to be based in religion. I'm not a religious person. If you have faith, you can lean into that. That certainly is helpful. But there are generally common sense reasons that you can explain why you want your kids to do what you want them to do. And this is a time to really, really lean into that. Talk to them about why it's important to actually learn things to make the next step of learning easier. Ask them, do you really want a doctor to operate on you who cheated their way through medical school? Do you really want a lawyer to represent you who had someone help them pass the bar exam? I don't. You can have these kinds of conversations, and you can find books that can help you talk about values and ethics with kids. So it's important to be a good role model, talk with them about it, and make this be an important part of it. That kind of leads us into talking about synthetic relationships. And those are going to be any relationship you have with a bot, an AI buddy, or Bard, or anybody who isn't a real human. Maybe the Karen Marjories of the future. Those are going to be a synthetic relationship. And it may seem silly to you, like, it won't happen to me, it won't happen to my family. I will be interested to see what we're talking about in 5 years. It probably won't happen overnight, but I think people are going to experiment with this. Kids are going to tell you, I'm just playing around with it. I just want to kind of see how it works. It's all just for fun. But eventually, if they have this buddy or this girlfriend or whatever, that's always telling them what they want to hear, completely available all the time, no arguments needed, that's going to be really tempting. And it's going to mean shorter attention spans, less patience for real people and real situations. Navigating real conversations is going to seem less appealing. I think this is going to be very of interest to people who are shy and introverted. And for people who are really busy, I just don't have time for a true relationship, right? It's the perfect long distance relationship that feels safer. I think we're going to see some really interesting things as we delve more into that.
I think large-scale education is in order here, Claudia, because what you are describing is novel, but at the same time scary and potential to be very malicious. Social media has become intertwined into the fabric of our society, and I think we are at a state where there is no way to reverse that. Before AI becomes that deeply intertwined into how we operate on a day-to-day basis, it would be important to take a pause, educate people so that we do not start normalizing this behavior. What is the work that Unplug Collaborative has been doing on this front, Claudia?
Well, I think that we really talk about how technology does have some good benefits, but that at the bottom of it all, as much as tech advances, human connection is still going to be super important. We still need that. And after hearing all this scary stuff, hopefully you still think that's really important too, and that we all should make it a priority. And that's kind of what we're about, is making that a priority for people and helping people make that a reality. We're a nonprofit. We coordinate the Global Day of Unplugging, which, if you haven't heard of it, is like Earth Day, but it's for your tech. Take a break from your tech. And it always happens the first weekend in March. So next year it'll be the 1st through the 2nd. It's celebrated sundown to sundown, Friday night to Saturday night. And next year is actually going to be our 15-year celebration. So we're excited about that. Despite all this heavy stuff we've just talked about, our approach is really simply to offer fun and meaningful offline activities that people can enjoy together. And we've had, 135,000 people participating in our program since we started. So we have had a lot of people coming together as a community for this day. The other 364 days of the year, we encourage people who are leaders or who want to be a leader in their community to break ground on what we call an unplugged village in their neighborhood. And those are all people just kind of wanting to charge up their communities, ordinary people, teachers, community leaders. We've had 40 communities start breaking ground so far on unplugged villages, including here in San Diego, where I am, Staten Island, North Carolina, New Orleans, and most recently, Nashville. And in terms of different types of activities that people do, we have students doing things at schools, maybe community service projects, or running an Unplug-a-thon where they can donate socks back to homeless shelters for the hours they spend unplugged. It could be someone who is a restaurant owner offering incentives for you to dine unplugged and ditch your devices for a meal. It could be scavenger hunts. We've had little free library scavenger hunts, many different types, where you go and you find clues at all the various locations in a neighborhood. Could be going to a comedy night. It's really hard to miss this guy when you're laughing and having a good time. So we love those. All kinds of ideas. We just hope that whatever people do, that they'll like it and they'll want to do more of it. We've got 200 different ideas on our website with templates and ways to make it easy. You can check that out. I know that'll be at the end here, where you can become a free member if you want, or a paid one. We love that. That helps support our cause, further our mission. I really just encourage people to get involved and plan an event for Global Day of Unplugging. We'll add it to our global map. And maybe for this summer, everybody plan like a block party, get your community together. We've kind of gotten disconnected during the pandemic, and it's really important. We're having this loneliness epidemic I keep hearing about from the Surgeon General. And we may be connected by technology, but we really, really need that human one-on-one in-person connection. And we need people that will step up to try and foster those situations happening. So again, no matter how much technology progresses, we still need human connection. And I hope that we'll make that a priority.
We need to preserve the humanity of human beings. We need to find more fun, more joy in real life. so that the pleasures that the online world has to offer us does not keep us sucked into the online fantasy world the whole time. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you for being on Inspinar today and for sharing such eye-opening information of where technology is headed and how we can protect ourselves, our work, and our family. We are looking forward to collaborating with Unplug Collaborative as we plan our first family retreat in San Diego the last weekend of August. So thank you again for being here on Inspinar, Claudia.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you. Let's reconnect with what truly matters. Let's reconnect with health, joy, and efficiency. Let's ungrip our devices and grip life. I will see you next time.